uplifting the people and uniting the nation.
The renewed Hope administration is marking 2 impactful years as Nigeria's entire socio-economic landscape has taken a bold leap forward.
There is a complete overhaul of the economy with the blocking of the perennial leakages through fuel subsidy, necessitating interventions in public transportation.
Tax reforms and zero-interest student loan initiatives are truly breaking barriers.
These reforms by President Bola Tinubu's administration may be difficult, but they are the necessary foundations for a strong economy, as results are beginning to manifest.
No palliative in Nigeria has favored me, or this world has favored me, so I really appreciate.
As from yesterday, I didn't pay him. He gave me that ticket. I'm saying thank you to the government. God bless them.
So when I heard about this few days ago, I decided to try and I paid 17.5 to Asaba.
We appreciate our president for initiating this kind of program. From Abuja to Enugu, some were paying 35. Now we were collecting 12,500.
Other people traveling from other routes are benefiting from it.
Actually, my first time on the train, and I enjoyed it.
Inflation is easing as prices of food items are coming down. An ambitious Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway, among other legacy infrastructural projects underway. Improved train services, enhanced international passport regime.
As President Tinubu salutes and appreciates the resilience of the good people of Nigeria, there is need for more patience.
The reforms may be tough in many ways, but the mistakes of the past must not be repeated. This is because the wise knows that the night often gets darker before a promising daybreak. After a heavy rain, it's always a beautiful sunshine.
With President Tinubu leading the charge, it is hope renewed with a bright future.
This message is from the Office of the Director General, Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria, FRCN.
The National Broadcast Academy organizes workshops on creative writing, public speaking, and broadcast media management.
The workshop is open to advertising agencies, speech writers, corporate executives, and individuals who are interested in improving their writing, speaking, and media management skills.
The workshops hold from Monday to Friday for 2 weeks.
From 16th to 27th of June 2025.
National Broadcast Academy, located at 1A at Dekule Fajri Way, GRA, Ikeja, Lagos.
For further information, call
0805 307 8029 0803 394 1805.
Visit the website www.natba.edu.ng.
You can go onto the social media platform at facebook.com/nbacademy.ng. Announcer NBA Management.
Radio Nigeria, uplifting the people and uniting the nation.
The call for peace and unity is still on, but this time it is coming from the Emir of Gwandu, Alhaji Mohammed Bashar. The Emir, who made the appeal in his Eid al-Kabir message to the people of Kebbi State, urged people to be their brothers' keepers, irrespective of religion and ethnicity. The chief imam of the Central Eid Praying Ground, Birnin Kebbi, Imam Muhammad Yahaya Limamchi, said, without peace, there will be no meaningful development. The state deputy governor, Senator Umar Abubakar, while felicitating with Muslims Amma, emphasized the importance of sacrifice, compassion, and unity, hoping that these values would give Kebbi State's pursuit of progress and development. The deputy governor urged residents in riverine areas to relocate to higher grounds to avoid devastating floods during the rainy season and prioritize their safety and well-being. The chief imam of Benin Central Mosque, that's talking about Edo State, Sheikh Abdul Fattah Enabulele, has called on political leaders to always fulfill their campaign promises and emulate the sacrificial lifestyle of Prophet Ibrahim in obedience and submission to Allah. Gladys Oshokumobo tells us more.
Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar!
Sheikh Enabulele emphasized that Nigeria would be a better place if Nigerians could emulate Prophet Ibrahim's exemplary lifestyle of obedience, righteousness, faithfulness, perseverance, and sacrifice. The chief imam encouraged all to live justly as Prophet Ibrahim did and strive for a life of righteousness, faithfulness, and perseverance.
Whether you're a leader in any capacity, you must be transparent. You must fulfill the promises that you have made. You must not discriminate. There should be no tribalism, there should be no tribal sentiment or parochial interest or suppressive or oppressive tendencies.
Edo State Secretary to the State Government, SSG, Musa Ekilo, also admonished the faithful to live in unity and perseverance.
That very spirit of sacrifice, of obedience, of good neighborliness is all that is exemplified in this day, and that is what we are celebrating.
Some Muslim faithful expressed gratitude to Allah for allowing them to witness this year's celebration and urged youth to shun social vices that could truncate their future. They prayed for grace to participate in more Eid celebrations ahead.
The obedience of Prophet Ibrahim to Almighty Allah, when the Allah commanded him to sacrifice the only son he had as at that,
and face Allah. When you are with God, everything is possible. Don't think about what is going on now.
Be sure that God is always watching, and when you do that, God will never leave you alone.
High points of the event included prayers offered for leaders and the stability of the country, as well as slaughtering of ram on the Eid ground. However, traders who had gathered at the Eid ground to make bricks business were disappointed as there was poor patronage, while security personnel were present to maintain law and order. In Benin, Gladys Oshokumobo, Radio Nigeria.
Well, after the two Rakat prayers in Benin, the governor, Monday Ukbeholo, tasked Muslim faithful to continue to reflect on the values of sacrifice, obedience, selflessness, and unwavering faith in Allah. The governor, represented by the deputy, Mr. Dennis Idahosa, gave the charge while hosting Muslim faithful who paid him homage on the Salah celebration. Our guide this time from Benin is Inope Ofuyi.
Mr. Dennis Idahosa, while preaching peace, encouraged Muslim faithfuls not to neglect the lessons learned during the period, but continue to reflect on them as they embark on their journey of faith and nation building. Mr. Idahosa, who urged all Nigerians to continue to promote the culture of peaceful coexistence for the development of the nation, also advised them to inculcate the habit of almsgiving being preached by both major faiths in the country to give meaningful life to the less privileged.
As we celebrate, let us reflect on the lessons of this holy celebration, which includes the spirit of oneness, sacrifice, love for one another, and unity. Let us continue to pray for peace and prosperity of our dear state.
The Secretary to State Government, Umar Ikilo, enjoined parents to inculcate the culture of peaceful coexistence and selfless sacrifice in their children to promote a better society.
In our families, our faith is a cornerstone of our being and of our existence. So that is why we appeal to all religious bodies, the Christians, the Muslims, to lead the charge in the governor's efforts to sanitize Edo State.
The Chief Imam, Benin Central Mosque, Sheikh Abdul Fattah Inabulele, called on all faithful to always ensure the ways of God reflect in their actions.
There's no doubt that most of the problems facing the nation today would have been surmounted long ago if all Muslims and indeed all Nigerians have the fear of God in all that we do.
The Chief Imam reminded faithful to remember that the true virtues of the season was in the motive behind any action and not what the people sees. In Benin, Inope Ofuyi, Radio Nigeria.
In Lagos, Nigerians have been asked to pray for the troops keeping the nation safe in the face of terrorism and banditry. As Muslims faithful observed as well this year's Eid al-Kabir celebration. President Bola Tinubu made the plea at the Eid prayers held at Dodon Barracks Spring Ground of Balande, Lagos. Kikelomo Ifekoya has the rest of the story.
President Tinubu said that the sacrifices the military men were making to ensure that the territorial integrity of the nation is protected could not be ignored. He, however, urged Nigerians to continue to be security conscious and be their brother's keeper. President Tinubu also called on Nigerians to learn to give to the less privileged around them in the spirit of love and selflessness.
Be one another's brother's keeper. We must pray hard for our troops who are keeping us safe, making the sacrifices in the challenges that we face in terrorism and banditry.
The Deputy Governor of Lagos State, Dr. Obafemi Hamzat, urged Nigerians to be security conscious at all times Dr. Hamzat expressed the hope that the nation would sure wade out of its social and economic challenges by the grace of God.
I foresee a brighter future. Nigeria will bounce back, and we just pray that it doesn't take long.
The Chief Imam of Lagos State, Sheikh Sulaiman Abunola, in a sermon advised Nigerians to shun all forms of activities capable of hindering the peace and unity of the nation. Sheikh Abunola also called on Nigerians not to relent in praying for the nation's political leaders, right from President Bola Tinubu, so that the leaders will be able to direct the nation aright.
We pray for our father, the President Bola Tinubu, this year for Allah to continue to strengthen him, for Allah to continue to protect him, for Allah to grant him strength, vigor, and good health to enable him to govern our nation well.
Other dignitaries at the Eid prayers include the Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, Mr. Adegboyega Oyetola, and the former Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Mr. Babatunde Fashola. From Lagos, Kikelomo Ifekoya, Radio Nigeria.
Well, still in the celebration of Salah, but let's turn our attention to insecurity. The Catholic Bishops' Conference of Nigeria has condemned the recent violent attacks in Benue State, describing it as barbaric and a terrifying reminder of the breakdown of security in the country. A statement by President of the conference, Archbishop Lucius Ugoji, describes the massacre on innocent civilians, the burning of homes, and the widespread suffering inflicted on families as an affront to God and a stain on shared humanity. According to the statement, the relentless attacks on defenseless communities under the watch of civil authorities constitute a grave moral and constitutional failure. The statement, which acknowledges the progress of the Benue State government in infrastructure development and timely salary payments, stresses that such achievements were meaningless without the protection of lives. It urges both states and federal authorities to move beyond rhetoric and take immediate, firm and sustained action to end the violence, as well as calling on security agencies to dismantle the culture of impunity and ensure that perpetrators face justice. A socio-cultural organization, the Egon Cultural and Development Association, has called on the federal government to initiate urgent reforms to protect security agencies from the rising wave of mob attacks and killings of security personnel across the country. A statement by the president, Mr. Mandi David Abuluya, says the increasing trend of mob violence targeting security personnel and their facilities poses a serious threat to national safety and must be urgently addressed. The statement, which stresses the need for government to implement proactive measures to strengthen the country's security architecture, maintains that continued attacks can weaken the system and exposes citizens to greater danger. It describes the recent killing of the Divisional Police Officer of Rano in Kano State, Chief Superintendent Baba Ali Mohammed, and the destruction of the police facility by a mob as one too many, and points out that if officers entrusted with protecting lives are targeted, it can undermine public confidence in the nation's security. The statement also called for a thorough investigation to bring the perpetrators to justice and advocates policy reforms that will address the root causes of mob violence, such as youth unemployment and ethno-religious intolerance. It urges the government to prioritize programs that promote social stability and inclusiveness to empower security agencies to effectively carry out their duties, and appeals to the Inspector General of Police and the Nasarawa State government to provide compensation and scholarships to the children of the late officer as a means of supporting the family. And staying with security, a Pan-African pro-democracy organization, Democracy for Africa program, has lauded President Bola Tinubu for the deployment of troops of the Nigeria Army and relocation of the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluyede, to Benue as a proactive measure to end the killing of innocent citizens by herdsmen. A statement by the country director, Dr. Benedict Kokolwen, says the action by President Tinubu demonstrates the capacity of the president to deliver on his promise to end insecurity in the country as enshrined in his renewed hope agenda. The statement, which commiserates with the government and people of the state, particularly the families and relations of the deceased, tasked the Chief of Army Staff not to limit the war against the perpetrators to the front lines in the state, but also to go after their sponsors and collaborators. It charges the government and people of the state to give the army and indeed the president the support and cooperation needed to abate the wanton killings, restore peace to the affected communities, and return the growing numbers of displaced people to their ancestral homes. The Nigeria Association of Women Journalists, Akwa Ibom State Chapter, has condemned the recent defilement of a 7-year-old girl by the village head of Atiampat in Unsetibiam local government area. A statement by the state chairperson, Comrade Nsikak Okon, and the secretary, Comrade Mary Ekere, commends the security agencies for their prompt action in arresting and prosecuting the suspect. The statement, however, calls on community leaders, parents, and guardians to prioritize the safety and well-being of children and work toward creating a society that protects and promotes their rights. It sympathizes with the victim and her family and gives an assurance of continuous advocacy and campaign for justice, as well as call on all stakeholders to collaborate in combating and eradicating child abuse and molestation in communities. Senate Committee on Local Content says it will continue to create an enabling environment to increase Nigeria's participation in the nation's oil and gas industry. The chairman of the committee, Senator Joel Onowakpo Thomas, gave the assurance in Inagua during an oversight visit to the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board, NCDMB. Lambo Datonyi reports that while in Bayelsa State, members of the committee